I got you into a Remington party. What's my thanks? It's on the hallway carpet. I got paid in puke. Lick it up, baby. I got paid in puke.
Welcome to Paid in Puke, a podcast where three women with names discuss movies that are about something other than a man. Paid in Puke is hosted by Amy Green, Christina Barr, and Jessica Baxter. It's also a spoiler-filled free-for-all. You've been warned. Fuck Me Gently with a Chainsaw. This week's film is the 1988 dark comedy that is very near and dear to all our hearts, Heathers. Heathers was the first feature film directed by Michael Lehmann. It was written by Daniel Waters and stars Winona Ryder, Christian Slater, Shannon Doherty, Lisanne Falk, and Kim Walker.
I wanted to be a member of the most powerful clique in school.
Dear Diary, Heather said she teaches people real life.
You were nothing before you met me. You were a Girl Scout cookie.
Does it not bother you that everybody in this school thinks that you're Verona? Like I give a shit.
You a Heather?
No, I'm a Veronica. I don't really like my friends.
I don't really like your friends either.
They're people I work with, and our job is being popular.
Maybe it's time to take a vacation.
I just killed my best friend.
And your worst enemy.
Same difference. My teen angst has a body count. This is a tragic thing.
Hallelujah.
We scare people into not being assholes.
I did not want them dead.
You did too.
Did not shut up!
I love my dead gay son.
You were out of control. That knife is filthy.
What do you think I'm gonna do with it? Take out her tonsils? Is this as good for you as it is for me?
Life and sock.
That's it. We're breaking up.
This is our special segment for this episode called Keggers with Kids.
You blow it tonight, girl, and it's Keggers with Kids all next year.
This is the kid! We got 12-year-old Lucy Green here who watched Heathers with us, and it was her first viewing of Heathers, one of her mom's favorites of all time, so tell us what you thought.
Well, it was very good. It was good because you, couldn't really tell what was coming, but you, weren't, super surprised, and it was really good.
Did you have a favorite character?
Probably Veronica.
Right.
Just
Obviously. There are no stupid questions, but that is
That's the stupidest question I've ever heard.
It's a good question. It just has one, obviously.
Right.
Did you think JD was cute?
Not really.
Kids today.
Right. No, I love that. I definitely want to get more into that in a little while. Yeah, I had to know what modern teen thinks of young Christian Slater.
Maybe in the very beginning, but not
before
really.
Before he revealed himself to be a total creepoid.
Could you pinpoint, the moment when you realized that JD was seriously bad news?
Maybe when he was, pressuring her to, put the, cleaner in, and it was yeah, haha, but actually do it. It just, I feel like that part was this is
But he
this
wasn't
is
just
bad.
joking about it, yeah.
Do you have any lines that you liked? Any dialogue that sticks out to you?
Partially, I love my dead gay son. That was just really funny.
That is an iconic line. Were there any lines that when you heard them you were like, oh, I've heard people say that?
Well, first of all, you tried to take red, which is clearly my color.
First, you ask if you can be red, knowing that I'm always red.
I knew I was caught.
All the time.
I do. Any board game. I also feel like whenever Dash and I play air hockey and somebody gets to 5 points, I say 5 keeps the neighborhood alive.
Hi, Veronica. 5 keeps the neighborhood alive.
I didn't know that was a thing from Heathers. I was just thought that was the thing they said in Heathers.
Right. Oh, yeah. What did you think of the language in it?
I don't know.
Did you think it was kind of a stylized way of talking? Or did it seem like really dated the way they were talking?
It just seemed pretty dated, yeah.
Yeah, it's very specifically set in 1988, 89.
What did you think of Veronica's parents?
I thought they just, like, didn't get it. Like, they were just like, oh, we know them, right? They didn't really seem to realize what was going on or care that much.
Isn't that flake we met at the open house?
A burst of cleansing synchronicity. TV cameras happened onto our path and captured this
Cleansing
natural
synchronicity?
spontaneous emotional outpouring of emotion.
Outpouring of emotion?
Look, there's Heather.
And there's Heather. Were you, Veronica?
Yeah, they didn't seem very concerned about her committing suicide.
Your friend Jason Dean stopped by. He seemed very concerned about you. He said that he thought you might try to kill yourself.
You have been depressed lately. Oh, he left this for you.
Oh, my God.
He said that we should keep you away from sharp objects, closed garage doors, chemical substances, prescription drugs.
Yeah, it was like, oh, yeah, your best friend committed suicide. Oh, and your friend said you might. Okay, just don't.
Right. Yeah, just go up to your room alone. We won't check on you for a while.
We won't be too concerned when we call you down to dinner. Although I guess I wouldn't be concerned either because it takes so many times of asking to get my kids to come to the table.
I do think of that every time when I'm like,
I think in that scene where they show her and you think she's dead, like I was checking, like, wait, can you actually see like her hands? Okay, you can. How does she do this? Like, I don't think she's dead, but like, is she?
Right. Did you think it would be hard to act that still?
Yeah.
The writer.
I feel like the way they weren't showing her face made it feel like, okay, yeah, I don't think she's dead.
That could have been a character choice too. Like she knew that she had to keep her hair in her face.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had some sentiment for her because of Stranger Things?
A little. I just love that actress.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, you've seen her in a bunch.
yeah,
in some other
she's in
stuff
so
too,
much
right?
stuff. Yeah.
Right.
I just really like that actress, but I guess.
Here's my burning question. When they killed the football players and then they have the argument after where JD's saying, like, you knew that's what we were doing and you just didn't want to face it. Do you think that she did know deep down that they were killing them?
I do think that, like, I don't think she, like, truly believed that, no, it just looks exactly like they're dead. They're not actually dead. Yeah, I don't think she actually believed that, but I guess she just, like, didn't want to admit that she wanted that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They were bad guys.
Right, yeah. I know, it's hard. And even though, like, JD is obviously a complete psychopath, he makes a really good point when he says all they had to offer the town was date rapes and AIDS jokes. He's a very good anti-hero.
Yeah, I think it was cool how they said a line of, like, just the total jerks who were just, like, the worst. And then JD, who seemed kind of cool, but was, like, really creepy and, like, this is wrong. But I think it was cool how they really said a different, like, line of, like, the jerks. And then he's really, like, this is creepy.
Yeah, that's interesting. How, like, the jock guys are real assholes, but JD is genuinely a psychopath.
Borderline date rapist himself. Like, he's always kissing her.
He's always grabbing her,
Yeah, I really noticed that this time.
That, like, definitely stood out to me.
I don't know.
I think that was one of those things that I internalized as a teenager, was that, like, boys just kiss you at inappropriate moments.
Right.
Like, to just expect that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just when guys kiss you, is when they don't know what else to do.
Yeah, watching it, like, as a 40-year-old, definitely I'm seeing it through different
That definitely
eyes.
stood out to me, too. It's like, she's trying to kill you. She's trying to leave and break up with you. And you're, like, attacking her and kissing her. It's funny watching that movie for me, because I have a lot of friends who really like the musical, which I've never really, like, seen anything from. So that was kind of funny for me. I'm like, so my mom really likes this, and I have a lot of friends who like something based off of this.
Yeah. Have you seen the musical?
I've never watched it. I'm a Heather's purist, so.
Yeah.
Have you?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't, and I haven't looked into it. And I know that also they did make a new series.
I heard that didn't go well.
It
I heard
didn't
it
seem
go
like it
well,
went
and I
well.
actually tried to find it just yesterday when I was researching for this. You can pay for it on Amazon right now, but I couldn't find it streaming anywhere for free. And I don't know, like you said, it's a little too close to my heart to risk being tainted in some way.
It's truly perfect. It's amazing to me to rewatch that movie. Just everything about that movie is just perfection. Like all the acting and the sets and the music, the sound, even the opening when they're walking into the cafeteria.
The only scene that like felt kind of scary was like the weird kind of dream sequence when he was like holding the knife. That scene was like, it was really suspenseful and like kind of crazy.
Could you tell that was a dream?
It felt very dreamlike. Like it didn't feel like it was working, and then it got more dreamlike and more dreamlike until it was really, really obvious.
Yeah.
Right. By the time they're actually at the funeral, it's clear that that's a dream.
Oh yeah, that funeral scene. They're wearing white cap and gown situation almost.
Yeah, and 3D glasses. Yeah.
It was really stylized and interesting. I know everything about them.
And I love when Heather Chandler, the ghost, comes back. Like, she has that very Bride of Frankenstein look going.
Her, like, Beetlejuice outfit on.
Yeah.
That dream sequence is very Beetlejuice. And then, of course, the preacher.
That's Otho from Beetlejuice. Yeah, did you recognize him?
Yeah. I'm sure that was intentional. But I didn't think about that until this viewing for some reason. I was really enjoying the outfits a lot this time.
Yeah.
How Heather McNamara, she like takes the holy water and
that was
hilarious.
You know, she's wearing like a micro mini to the funeral.
I love the way Veronica leans on the holy water after. She's like they're at the water cooler. It's kind of like they're at the office.
Yeah, also like how all the girls have their signature color. No matter what, they have a piece of that color on at all times. Like even at Heather Chandler's funeral, Veronica is all in black, but she has blue socks on. All the girls always have their color. Although Heather Duke eventually goes from green to red.
I also like the symbolism with like Heather Chandler's bow that like got like passed through.
Seeing the amount of like hairspray in everyone's hair was
brought
back the big hair of that period.
Heather McNamara has some big hair going on.
It's hard to tell up Heather's apart.
Oh, I know. See, I've seen it enough times. I know which is which. Yeah, Heather Chandler is the first one,
but
and
I don't remember any of
Heather Duke is the one who goes from green to red, the one that becomes the huge bitch, and then Heather McNamara is the cheerleader, and yellow is her color, and she's the one that has some big hair.
And the pills she's taking are yellow too.
Oh right, yes.
I noticed. Wow. Yeah.
I noticed they show the inside of everybody's house at some point. You know, when they're at Heather Chandler's house, when they kill her, like her kitchen has all red accents in it, and then Heather McNamara has yellow in her bedroom, and then even in the dream sequence when they're in Heather Duke's kitchen, there's green accessories on the counter. They really did so much detail. Like, I imagine there's also, like, so many hidden little Easter eggs that people miss, you know.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there are a lot.
I feel like that is chock full of them.
I mean, I've probably seen that movie hundreds of times, and there were still little things that I was noticing for the first time.
I watched it with my older brother, my brother who's 8 years older than me, and they noticed right away when the cops were talking to each other that the cops are named Milner and McCord, which doesn't mean anything to me, but like that was the actors on some cop show from like their era. I should just look it up what show it was that's referencing.
The Big Fun Band like posters and T-shirts sprinkled throughout the movie, and like
and it's such half-ass
having like a
design work. Like, they're obviously iron-on letters.
Something.
I love that contrast because everything else is so carefully designed. Like all the clothes are perfectly tailored, and the set design is so good and in detail, like you're saying. And then for the T-shirts, it's obviously just like iron-on letters.
They're driving that point home that this band is just capitalizing on a trend. Yeah. It's such a cynical movie. Like, I just love it. You know? The big song is just teenage suicide, don't do it. You know? How are we going to make some money on this? The teen suicide thing. You know?
It's a perfectly shitty song.
Yeah.
Teenage suicide, don't do it, teenage.
There's like so many 80s songs that sounded just like that.
I really enjoy JD's little dance when the song
Dudes, if I get one more request for that big fun song, I'm gonna commit suicide.
Playing our song.
Also, like all the stuff with how like horrible JD's dad was.
Oh yeah.
His dad's a straight up murderer.
His dad is gross. Yeah.
Psychopath. The dynamic with him and JD, like JD calling him son.
Hey, son, I didn't hear you come in.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah, the scenes with the dad were just so creepy to me.
Mm-hmm. I guess there's lots of different examples of bad parenting in this movie.
Right.
Yeah. Veronica's parents being detached in one way, and then his dad being detached in a completely different and awful way, and then obviously being a murderer.
Yeah. Oh, you kids are making too much damn noise.
We beat the bitches.
Oh, beautiful. The beaver's home.
Judge told him to slurp shit and die. I put a Norwegian in the boiler room. Masterful. And then when that blew, it set off a pack of thermals I stuck upstairs.
Yeah, like all the adults are like seriously just like
all the adults
out of it.
Yeah.
And like Veronica and her parents have the same conversation over and over again. It's just like really drives home. Nobody's really connecting with each other, or like
and what was
really
it?
out of it.
Like that one conversation where her parents were telling her like, this is how people treat adults.
Right.
I do like
when
that
teenagers
line,
complain.
actually.
Just how do you think adults act with other adults? You think it's all just a game of doubles tennis? When teenagers complain that they want to be treated like human beings, it's usually because they are being treated like human beings.
There's a lot of truth in that line.
Right.
Every once in a while, her mom has like a moment or two.
Right. I don't think it's true in the context that they're talking about, but yes, that probably is really true. When teenagers complain that they want to be treated like human beings, it's usually because they are being treated like human beings. Like, that probably is true, right?
But she was also not listening when her daughter was actually trying to say something very important.
Right.
Turn that back on.
Can't you see these little programs are eating suicide up with a spoon? They're making it sound like it's a cool thing to do.
Are you trying to tell me it is not a time for troubled youth? Stand up straight.
I also love I don't patronize bunny rabbits.
That was great. I think about that line all the time.
What does that mean to you?
I don't know what it means,
right.
but I love it.
I know. I love that that's the only issue he has with what she's saying.
It's like he's not listening.
Right.
They're not really communicating. They're just saying things to each other. Yeah, I guess that's what it means. Is like he's focusing on something she said, and it's not the point.
All we want is to be treated like human beings, not to be experimented on like guinea pigs or patronized like bunny rabbits.
I don't patronize bunny rabbits.
So a movie that is related to it in a way, but what do I always say about Mean Girls is it's like Heather's but not as good, right?
While I was watching that, I was like, hey, that's like Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Right. Heather's definitely had a lot of influence
Yeah.
on the movie Mean Girls, but then I feel like Mean Girls wanted you to learn a lesson at the end, you know?
It has like a sort of happy ending.
Right.
Where she decides to give up on being popular and actually like hang out with a
Right.
very underdeveloped character, but presumably, you know, the losers are always the most interesting people, so
Right.
hopefully she's making a friend that's interesting and she
Right.
can go back to hanging out with Betty.
Yeah, I mean, just more that she's like going to be nice to people that she used to be mean to. You know?
Hey, Martha. My date for the prom kind of flaked out on me. I was wondering if you were doing anything that night. Maybe we could rent some new releases, pop some popcorn.
I'd like that.
Yeah, so would I.
I definitely got a feeling like the evil did not win.
Just turn it off. That's what you really want.
You know what I want, babe?
What?
Cool guys like you out of my life.
Right.
Yeah. It was like the evil didn't win, but I don't think the other people did either.
Right.
But like, who was the good?
Right. I mean, Veronica does have like a good arc. She kind of goes easy on herself, but you know, she's pretty bad. She doesn't really want to write the note in the beginning to Martha. She says, "Oh, I don't have anything against her."
Shit, Heather, I don't have anything against Martha Dunstock.
You don't have anything for her either.
But she still does it. Does that thing to humiliate her, you know.
She was like so influenced by like peer pressure, and I think that was like most of that movie was like her just being pressured to do things.
Right. I mean, she says it, and she knows that her friends are assholes.
It's just like there are people I work with, and our job is being popular and shit.
She knows, she tells her diary, Betty Finn was a true friend, and I sold her out.
Betty Finn was a true friend, and I sold her out for a bunch of Swatch dogs and Diet Coke heads.
And I mean, I definitely feel on some level she knows they're killing Kurt and Ram. Yeah. I mean, even when she's sitting there and Ram is clearly dying and JD's chasing Kurt back, she still shoots him. You know, he didn't shoot Kurt. She did.
And she, at that point, must have known.
On some level, she must have known.
She must have made a calculation that was like, well, he's already dead, and the only way we can get away with this is if I kill him.
Right. I think also it was like she was in such denial about him being dead that she like decided that if it was real, then it wasn't any worse if the other guy was dead.
Oh, maybe, yeah. There's so much fun trivia about that movie, but another fun one is when he says, do you take German? And she says, no, French. And he goes, these are Ich lüge bullets, and that means I'm lying in German.
Do you take German?
French.
All right. These are Ich lüge bullets. My grandfather snared a shitload of them back in WW2. They're like tranquilizers, only they break the surface of the skin enough to cause a little blood, but no real damage.
So it looks like the person's been shot and killed, and really they're just lying there unconscious and bleeding? Ooh.
Right.
I was really noticing this time his bad post-Heather Chandler death acting, where he was like, oh my God, what happened? I can't believe she's dead.
Oh no, you did a murder.
And then he's like, what are we gonna do? He mostly is really bad at it, but then he looks at the bell jar.
Yeah, I love that.
It does seem like that's when he gets the idea about the suicide.
Right, yes.
He didn't really plan it out. He hadn't thought it all the way through. I think it's a testament to Christian Slater's performance. When you can tell when his character is performing and not performing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't really have a plan beyond what that they were going to kill her, you know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you know, when he notices on the floor, she has Cliff's Notes for The Bell Jar, which is a novel about suicide. The author of The Bell Jar committed suicide. Sylvia Plath, have you ever heard of her? It's okay if you haven't.
I don't think so.
But anyway, that's what gives him the idea. Oh, let's make it look like a suicide.
I could tell something made him think that was on the table. I just didn't really know what.
Right. Heather Chandler says corn nuts.
Why does she say corn nuts before she dies?
Right. When Heather walked into the store to get
I know that, but why?
Why?
Yeah.
Right. It is.
It's very mysterious.
I know. Why isn't it BQ? You know, like that's not the last thing she said about corn nuts. You know?
I always thought, like she's like, do you want BQ or plain? And she's like, BQ. like idiot.
Corn nuts.
BQ or plain?
BQ.
She gives a great performance. My God, I love.
I really miss her actually after she dies because she's got the best line.
Yeah, but
fuck me gently with a chainsaw.
Right? Do I look like Mother Teresa?
Yeah.
Or even also just like the look she gives JD, that real like snotty teenage look, like. Even the way she honks the horn so impatiently, like with her whole self. she is so good in that.
I like all the stuff with like the croquet. I feel like there seem to be like symbolism there.
Yeah, like how Heather Chandler is mean just to be mean to Heather Duke.
Yeah, that choice in the croquet game about what to do when you hit somebody's ball.
So what are you gonna do, Heather? Take the 2 shots or send me out?
Are you gonna knock other people down to win? Or are you gonna try and make yourself win?
Every time I've played croquet in my life, I have never wanted to knock somebody's ball out. Because it always made me feel extra bad. And I don't think I would have felt as bad about it if it weren't for Heather's. Because they really portray it as like a huge moral conundrum.
Right.
You don't want to be the kind of person who knocks balls out, do you?
Right.
When you could just take 2 shots.
Well, you're not just gonna go for those 2 shots. I mean, go ahead, knock me out. It's the only way to win.
It's not my style.
This guy's finished last. I should know.
And of course, they have their assigned colors in the croquet game.
There's a perpetual order.
Oh.
There's like a stick that you put in the ground, and it has the colors in an order, and you always play in the order of the colors.
Right.
Spaghetti with
lots of oregano.
Yeah. Repeat your favorite. Spaghetti. Lots of oregano.
That's such a cute favorite dinner.
Right.
There's little things like that make me remember that there's because they are adults playing teenagers. Well, except for Winona Ryder.
I think she was. Well, plus Shannon Doherty must have been pretty young because this was before.
It was right
before 90210.
She got the job on 90210 because of that movie.
Also, Christian Slater, he wasn't that old. I mean, if he wasn't a teenager, he was early 20s, I think.
They just all see. I guess teenagers looked old back then.
I think they're dressed so sophisticated
all
in
wearing
that.
blazers.
Yeah, right.
They're basically wearing power suits to school.
Right.
And they're all wearing full faces of makeup. Yeah, Winona Ryder was, she turned 16 while they were making that movie.
Oh gosh, imagine that. Oh yeah, I think, isn't it Heather Graham wanted to be in that movie and her parents wouldn't let her?
Yes.
Like Heather Graham, when she was a teen actress, she has real strict parents.
Yeah.
That's why she had to be licensed to drive instead of getting to be in Heather's because her parents wouldn't let her.
Oh.
And then when she turned 18, she did Drugstore Cowboy and then Boogie Nights. You know, I'm trying to think if you would know who Heather Graham
What a way
is.
to put it to your parents.
Right. It's like, you don't get to make decisions for me anymore.
I'm working with Gus Van Sant from now on.
Also, I read that Winona Ryder said her agent literally got down on her knees and begged her not to do this movie.
Oh man, I'm so glad she did.
I know. I hope she fired that agent.
Wow.
I feel like with the character JD, I feel like you saw his personality and then you saw his psycho personality. And I feel like there were points where I'm like, oh, I can see this personality. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that one. But it was like, I feel like there was a clear, like, different sides of that character.
Right. I think that's supposed to be a trait of sociopaths is that they're good one-on-one with people. Like, of course, he gets Veronica to fall for him, but then when he's talking to Heather Duke, he kind of knows just how to flatter her, how to get on her good side, and then he must make some connection with Martha. You remember she gives him the photos of her and Heather Duke. I mean, I think that's like a trait that sociopaths know how to be very charming.
Yeah, there were just certain points. At some point around, like, the scene with the radio, I feel like you could see for a few seconds, like, the other side, and then it was, like, back.
Do you mean like when he was talking about his mother?
Well, yeah, and, like, a few other scenes, yeah.
Isn't it interesting that his mom is the one who really did commit suicide, but her
Yeah.
death was ruled an accident?
Yeah.
Do you like your father?
Never given the matter much thought. Like my mother. They said her death was an accident, but she knew what she was doing. She walked into the building 2 minutes before my dad blew the place up. She waved at me, and then boom.
The only actual suicide in that movie.
That story with his mom, I wanted to be like sympathetic towards him because he never was loved or something. I don't know. But
Well,
then,
yeah,
like,
he literally
He does say, I want to blow up the school because nobody loves me.
Right. So maybe I am killing everyone in the school. Because nobody loves me.
clearly, I don't know. It just like I just lost the sympathy.
Right.
Like, there's something really wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he's
feel
very, very fucked up, but there are every indication that he wouldn't have been able to not be, given what happened with his parents.
Yeah, and I feel like the way that they make it kind of confusing with the sympathy, I feel like that's specifically like a lot towards Veronica, where it's like, but now she wants to be sympathetic towards him, but he's also telling her that he wants to kill everyone at their school. So,
Right, yeah.
She feels bad for him, but she can't let him kill everyone.
Right. I mean, I think also they just have such strong chemistry,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
she's so drawn to him. Even so much later in the film when she's writing in her diary and she's like, what about JD? I can't get him out of my head. By then he has like killed 3 people. you know?
The diary scenes were like really cool.
I love that she has a monocle. It's such a bizarre little aspect. Right. If you could only want to see out of one eye, I guess. I don't know.
Never understood what a monocle is for. Like a rich person shorthand accessory, but as an accessory, it doesn't make any sense to me.
But it is
Unless you have
hilarious.
an eye patch on the other side.
Right.
But it's also like a really funny, quirky teenage thing. I remember I'd have a pocket watch for a while.
I like how the Dear Diary, the scenes, like, they were combined with the scenes of, like, what she was writing about.
Mhm, yeah.
I like that, 'cause she's, like, narrating it.
Yeah, especially the scene, the party at the college,
that
you
was
know,
a
that
good-
goes back and forth where you know something pretty bad happened because she's
Yeah.
writing about how she wants to kill Heather.
Dear Diary, I want to kill, and you have to believe it's for more than just selfish reasons, more than just a spoke in my menstrual cycle. You have to believe me.
I love in movies when somebody makes a joke that isn't clever, you know, like when a dumb person, like especially when when they first see JD and he's like,
Who's that guy in the coat think he is anyways? Bo Diddley?
That is such a dumb thing to say. What the hell? And then also the guy at the party who says,
"Save the speeches for Malcolm X. I just want to get laid."
Yeah, save the speeches for Malcolm X.
Right.
A guy who likes to receive speeches.
Yes. Give this speech to Malcolm X.
I thought you were going to say the guy that was like...
It's so great to be able to talk to a girl and not have to ask what's your major. I hate that. So, when you go to college, what subjects do you think you study?
It's the same guy, right?
Yeah.
It makes me think of Singles when Matt Dillon's character is like, it's like the next World War is going to be sponsored by, I don't know. Like he almost says something clever but can't think of it. Yeah, I love when people are dumb in a movie.
Yeah. I liked when either Kurt or Ram was talking about his fantasy about Heather.
I want to get a Heather and put her on my Johnson, just like spinning around like a goddamn pinwheel. Punch it in.
Right. It's just such a funny line because it makes him seem like such a virgin.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm the guy who knows how sex works.
Yeah, that is not at all like what. Like really picture that spinning around on someone's.
The nerdy kid at the funeral like flips him off and says "sit and spin." Or
Right. Yeah, that is a good.
What people said in the 80s.
Oh,
For sure.
I was like, is that like a callback or no? Maybe it's not.
Right.
But I guess that is kind of like a put my finger up your ass and a corkscrew. But it sounds like not sexy, right? That's like something that would be uncomfortable for someone.
Even the Madonna sit on my face and ride like it's the Kentucky Derby, like that also doesn't really. Right. Like that. Whenever someone like says that phrase, like sit on my face as like a sexual thing, I picture like an older brother pinning down there and like farting in their face or something. You know, like it doesn't sound sexy.
Way to do oral sex.
Right. Yeah.
Lay down. Instead.
Right.
You're gonna suffocate. I mean, it's just you're not gonna be as effective in that position.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for that person to breathe.
Football phone.
Yeah, the football phone and the football lamp. Yeah.
And the mineral water.
Right.
That's the tell in the 80s in Ohio that you're gay if you drink mineral water.
Right.
Yeah, so speaking of hot probs.
Shut up. Hot Probs is on.
Oh shit, yeah.
It's difficult because it's just the way that they present it. Because they're not saying, no one says that it's bad to be gay.
Right.
But then at the same time, JD's homosexual artifacts are like...
Right.
But then I'm like, okay, so is he a homophobe too? Which he could be because they definitely go a long way toward kind of comparing him to the jocks that he hates. Or is he playing off of their stereotypes?
Let's take a look at some of the homosexual artifacts I dug up laying at the scene. All right. Got an issue with Stud Puppy.
Great.
A candy dish. Joan Crawford postcard. Good. Let's see, some mascara. All right. Now here's the one perfecto thing I picked up. Mineral water.
Oh, come on. A lot of people drink mineral water. It's come a long way.
Yeah, but this is Ohio. I mean, if you don't have a brewski in your hand, you might as well be wearing a dress.
Right,
Yeah. And he says limp wrist.
How do you think he'd react to a son that had a limp wrist with a pulse?
Well, I mean, I think when he says that at the funeral, the guy says, I love my dead gay son.
My son's a homosexual, and I love him. I love my dead gay son.
And that guy's being so honest and sweet, actually.
He is. You know, it is such a cynical movie, but I feel like that is a valid question. Like, would he love his gay living son? You know, like if his son really had been gay and instead of killing himself told him he was gay, how would he feel about that? Like, I think that is a valid question. I think he's really...
Just because of the way that JD poses the question.
Right. I mean, I think it's just like for the joke of like the wrist, because that's where you would feel a pulse, you know, like I think that's where he's going with that.
No, I get that.
I think it's just very literal like that. I don't think JD says anything where you would know how he actually felt about that one way or the other. You know, I mean, in the very beginning when the football players call him a fag, he doesn't say he's not. I love that line too.
Hey, Ram, doesn't this cafeteria have a no fags allowed rule?
Well, they seem to have an open door policy for assholes, though, don't they?
It's really hard not to. I hate myself for how much I love JD in a lot of ways. Yeah. I get that he's a bad person.
But it's hard when like the worst characters have like the best lines.
Right. Yes, he and Heather have the best line.
Also, it was kind of crazy. Like, she does nothing to keep JD from just climbing in her window. Like, she does not lock the window. She just, like, climbs
her window's always open.
Right.
That was a really 80s movie and TV thing. Was, like, dudes climbing into girls' windows.
Oh, yeah. That's a Nightmare on Elm Street has a window thing, too, I think.
Clarissa Explains It All.
Oh, I never watched that.
I just saw a commercial for like some wireless thing, and it's like, you must be Brad's phone or something, because like some kid is like sneaking into the bedroom of.
Oh, yes. Oh, I think Saved by the Bell has a lot of climbing through a window.
Yeah. Does Jesse come into Zach's room?
It's either that or the other way around, but yeah. God, I don't think I've ever in my life gone through a window.
I climb into my bedroom window one time, but it was not easy, and there wasn't a ladder, so he had to climb up an actual.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Wow.
It was crazy. Like, he brought a ladder.
And it was super hard, and then when he came in, he was like, I'm definitely going out the door. I don't care if I get caught.
This wasn't worth it.
He was like terrified.
I like how in the opening scenes, they, like, say Heather so many times.
Yeah.
That it's just like, hey, Heather, Heather, Heather.
Right. No, Heather, it's Heather's turn. Sorry, Heather.
That's great.
That was also a weird scene where she was, like, in the ground.
That was a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
But it felt weird.
It is weird. I always, like, anticipate that.
Dear Diary.
I know. I'm always like, man, the ball really hits her head. So, like, if that was a real croquet ball, that would hurt so bad. How hard that hits her.
Yeah. And then it even sounds more painful with the hollow, like, sound effect that they put over it.
But that scene was just so strange because, like, they didn't make it seem like it was, like, dreaming, and then it, like, what?
Yeah.
Except for how slow they were walking across the grass.
Right.
Yeah. It was kind of funny when they all just, like, stepped on the flowers.
Yeah.
It was like they were showing them as, like, this cool thing, and then they just stomp on the flowers.
Yeah. It's a great introduction.
Yeah.
It's your turn, Heather.
Now, Heather, it's Heather's turn. Heather. Sorry, Heather.
What was Yellow Heather again? The one with the big hair?
Heather McNamara?
Yeah, the one that tried to commit suicide.
Right.
When she, like, left for the bathroom and no one really did anything, even after, like, these huge deaths that everyone had to deal about.
Wait, where's Heather going?
Where's Heather going?
She's going to cry.
Fucking child protector caps.
Now, where is she going?
It felt intentional, but it also felt, like, very odd.
Yeah, that's a good point. It shows how much is just lip service from all the teachers. Like, why are they not doing anything when, as far as they know, they just had 3 students commit suicide within a week. And now this girl is like running off in the bathroom crying. And it's like, let's not follow up on that. You know?
And instead of having personal meetings with the students, the camera crew that just happened upon their...
Yes, the camera crew happened on our path.
The burst of cleansing synchronicity TV cameras happened onto our path and captured this
Cleansing
natural
synchronicity?
emotional outpouring of emotion.
Outpouring of emotion?
And even what she says to Veronica, the hippie teacher.
Veronica! JD told me you committed suicide last night.
Where is he? Where's JD?
We have to talk. Whether to kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make.
Get a job.
She doesn't say don't kill yourself. She says whether to kill yourself is a big decision. What?
Yeah. For some reason, I never thought of Hamlet before this viewing on that line. I was like, oh my god, Hamlet's kind of original. all teen movie.
Right. Yeah.
It was also like people acknowledge her like missing class after these big deaths. JD said that she had killed herself and no one really talked about it.
She was just surprised to see her because she thought that she'd killed herself.
Right.
Yeah, you would think they'd be taking it seriously instead of being so cavalier. I mean, it is a satire, but... Oh, I have a question. Why did men wear so many shirts in the 80s?
With the sweater vest?
There's that one scene where JD's wearing like a t-shirt and a red shirt and another, like a black collared shirt on top of that. There's at least 3 shirts going on there. And it just reminded me of Marty McFly. So many shirts. Why?
Yeah, it's a good burning question.
Also, JD is wearing, like, his outfit in that scene reminds me a little bit of Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, I didn't
He's,
watch
like,
that.
subliminally influenced Joss Whedon. I can imagine he was influenced by Heathers in at least a little bit.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure Heathers has influence on a ton of things.
I love the sloppy police work.
Yeah, he picks...
Except the guy with the stick and then he just grabs him.
Puts it in his hand. Or also the other guy, like, chasing down a noise, and then it's like, oh, it's just 2 teenagers. Not very far away from where 2 other teenagers are dead. I won't question it any further. That noise must have just been a bunny rabbit.
Milner, can you hear me? What's going down?
Yeah. I think what I heard back there was just a bunny rabbit. All I got here is a
Couple of kids making out in a station wagon. Hey, should I pry them apart?
No, forget it. I got all the answers back here. Are they naked?
You don't want to patronize that bunny rabbit.
That one scene where JD shoots blanks at those 2 guys and then there's like no consequence for it. Like they think they talk about like, no, he'll probably just get suspended.
He used a real gun. They should throw his ass in jail.
No way. He used blanks. All JD really did was ruin 2 pairs of pants. Maybe not even that. Can you bleach out urine stains?
Then there's no consequence at all.
He's never anything.
That's probably the thing that's the most dated about that movie because this was pre-Columbine era.
Yeah, no one would really shoot somebody at school.
Right. If that happened today, that somebody brought a fake gun to school and pretended to shoot 2 people, that person would never set foot in that school again.
In jail, probably.
Right. They would throw his ass in jail.
I've already started underlining meaningful passages in her copy of Moby Dick, if you know what I mean.
The screenplay is just so amazing. There's so many iconic lines in that movie. It's
like
insane.
One long quote, basically.
Yes.
There's so many. It's
Yeah.
hard to not write down every
I know
line.
there's whole chunks of dialogue. Like I had an old friend of mine. We used to act out the fight at the you stupid fuck, you goddamn bitch.
You stupid fuck.
You goddamn bitch.
You were nothing before you met me. You were playing Barbies with Betty Finn. You were a bluebird. You were a brownie. You were a Girl Scout cookie.
We used to do that whole thing. Now a good association for me with Heathers is when one time, Jessica, do you remember when we went to the punk rock flea market and Frankie threw up?
Yes.
And then we were texting later and I said something like, I got paid in puke, and then we were so we were texting back and forth lines from Heathers, and then I wrote Monday morning your history, but then the phone underlined Monday morning like creative. The phone kind of took the steam out of that. And so set your calendar for Monday morning when you are history.
Monday morning, your history. I'll tell everyone about tonight. Transfer to Washington. Transfer to Jefferson. No one at Westerberg's gonna let you play their reindeer games.
I forgot about that. I didn't forget about Frankie puking. Never forget. I think I remember every time any one of my children has thrown up. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that often. But when it does happen, it is epic. Every time it's
I feel like every time I'm around or something.
I think it's just different times you've been present. I don't know what that's about.
But yeah, I've been paid in puke a few times. So mark your calendar for Monday morning when you are history. Yeah, I love My Dead Gay Son is a iconic line. If I have to sing Kumbaya one more time.
God, Veronica, my afterlife is so boring. If I have to sing Kumbaya one more time.
I like the kid who used to date Heather Chandler, and he's like, Heather and I dated, but she told me I was boring, and now I see that I'm not boring, and it's just that she was really dissatisfied. I don't know, I got a kick out of Veronica cracking up and like, pretending to like break down to cover up for it.
Right.
You know? It's just funny. And then Our Love Is God.
Our love is God. Let's go get a slushie.
I don't know, I just love
That's
that.
a good line. He had some good come-on lines.
My friends and I, we watched this movie like a bazillion times. I mean, it really spoke, especially my best friend Dave was like a closet gay guy, you know. Not very convincingly closeted, but you know, so it really spoke to us as outsiders, like this fantasy of like, what if you could kill all the assholes at school, you know? And his senior quote in our high school yearbook was, my teen angst bullshit has a body count.
Dear diary, my teen angst bullshit has a body count.
He couldn't write bullshit, so he wrote, my teenage antics have a body count, but...
Nice. That's a good cable edit.
Right.
I feel like I'm gonna get so many more of your references.
I think that's
You are, yeah. The first time they said something would be very, were you waiting for them to put an adjective after that?
It'll be really very. Promise.
Like, it'll be very... What?
You can hear the period.
How very?
I feel like it was really well done how the two conversations, like with her parents, ended like exactly the same.
God damn, will somebody tell me why I read these spy novels?
Because you're an idiot.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
You too.
Great pate, but I got a motor if I want to be ready for that party tonight.
God damn, will somebody tell me why I smoke these damn things?
Because you're an idiot.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
You too.
Great pate, but I'm going to have to motor if I want to be ready for that funeral.
I saw this movie when it came out in the theater. That second conversation when she says, great pate, but I got a motor if I gotta make that funeral. That was the biggest laugh from the audience, for sure. That and then Heather Duke at Heather Chandler's funeral.
I prayed for the death of Heather Chandler many times. And I felt bad every time I did it, but I kept doing it anyway. Now I know you understood everything. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah.
I really liked that scene when they were all like praying and you could hear their thoughts. That was really fun.
Yes.
Why'd you have to kill such hot snatch? It's a joke, man.
Veronica, why are you pulling my dick?
My older brother Kevin, like you said, he loved that line. Like, it's not funny when a guy says it, no, but I remember he really enjoyed that line.
Real life sucks losers dry.
Heather told me she teaches people real life. She said, real life sucks losers dry. If you want to fuck with the Eagles, you have to learn to fly.
Fuck with the Eagles, that's a good band name. Yeah, have we said every line in the movie yet? Because they're all the best lines.
Yes, I know. I feel like I have that whole screenplay memorized still. Like, it's hard not to talk along with it when you're watching it.
What else does a suicide need, huh? Now, if you'll excuse me.
I also noticed for the first time this viewing that when they're doing the pep rally, the uniforms are the same as in the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video.
Oh!
It Smells Like Teen Spirit, they have anarchy symbols on their tops. But like the colors are the same, like the black and red.
Oh, nice.
Which is, I'm sure there were schools that had black and red as their colors, but it doesn't seem like that.
Right.
Very goth cheerleading outfit.
Yeah.
And like the way it's slow motion and then like it focuses on their skirts bouncing, the red pleat flashing.
Yeah, it would be so interesting just to talk to like the set designer from that movie,
Yeah.
you know, because you can see there's so much thought, so much detail that goes into it. Like I love Winona Ryder's dresser with the punctuation marks on the drawers. Everybody's interior of the home is so neat, so organized, and then JD's house is so haphazardly put together. Like there's still boxes and has that really very, very long couch that looks like it's like individual seats. It's weird. And then all the exercise equipment.
Yeah, it kind of looks like robbed someplace.
Like, it's weird that that's kind of the only stuff in his house is a lot of exercise equipment, which you see his dad using the treadmill. But, I mean, I'm sure that was intentional for some reason. I feel like every frame of that movie feels so intentional. Like, everything that you could see is there for some reason.
I mean, it had a very transient feel to it. Like, they knew they weren't going to be there very long.
Right.
He talks about moving around a lot. I don't know why anyone would need a whole rack of weights.
Yeah.
Especially because his dad didn't look like he was in that good of shape.
Right. I mean, he's not going very fast on that treadmill.
I didn't notice before this viewing, too, that Heather Duke seems to actually really, truly enjoy Moby Dick. For some reason, for a long time, I just assumed that was just what she'd been reading most recently. But then, like, she's really absorbed in it.
I never read Moby Dick myself, but I think JD is absolutely right that Heather Chandler is the white whale to her.
The white whale drank some bad plankton and splashed through a coffee table.
Whoever's the guy that wants to kill the white whale in Moby Dick. Right.
Call me Ishmael.
Right. Which is why she gives in the book, she says, I don't need it anymore.
Oh, a little gift for you. I won't be needing it.
It's like not a light book by any means, and
it's very long.
Yeah, and then Heather Chandler has Cliff's Notes.
Yeah, that is interesting that Heather Duke was actually reading the book.
You know, because Heather Chandler's such a bitch, so you pray that she was dead, and then you discover, like, no, it was because she wanted to be the bitch of the school, you know?
Yeah, because she doesn't have to compete anymore. She's the top dog.
And how, like, Heather dying makes her stop being bulimic.
It's like I noticed that, but I didn't put that together. Yeah, that's...
I noticed how she just threw that chicken bone.
Right. Watch it, Heather. You might be digesting food there. Yeah, where's your urge to purge?
Fuck it.
Somebody's gonna have to clean up that chicken bone.
People are always making a mess in movies.
It's good characterization, I guess. Also, she's eating in the locker room, which is such a weird place.
Yeah, gross.
I just noticed, like, she's, like, actually filing her fingernail to, like, help her friend through. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess I just never picked up on that before.
True friends' work is never done.
Gross. Grow up, Heather. Bulimia is so 87.
I'm pretty sure bulimia enjoyed a very long reign. Race.
Yeah, bulimia was not limited to 1987 and today.
There's not as much reference to the eating disorders in that movie as there are in Mean Girls. There's like a whole long segment about the eating disorders in Mean Girls.
Right. For me, a hot problem in Mean Girls is how you're just sort of supposed to sympathize with a couple of people who are just as bad as everybody else. And one of the ways that she gets revenge on the mean girl is like plays into her body image issues and makes her get fat, basically. I mean, there's just kind of a lot there, you know, that like women have issues with food and body stuff. And it's like, let's use that to our advantage.
The scene where they're in the car after the double suicide or, you know, murder that they did of the football players. Well, she had tried to like burn herself at the frat party, just kind of like tempting it with the flame, and then like she goes for it with the cigarette lighter and burns herself. And he like
he lights a cigarette off
of her burnt hand. She's just like, fuck it, nothing matters. I'm going to like light my hand on fire.
Well, it's a fun callback that he lights his cigarette off her hand, and then in the end she lights her cigarette from him exploding.
Yeah. I always felt that she was too close to that explosion.
Right.
Yeah. She's filthy within a matter of minutes of going down there before even anything happens, any confrontation. She already has like smudges. The continuity on that whole sequence must have been a bitch. To have to be like, okay, at this point in the scene, she has a smudge here and a smudge here and the scratches.
Right.
Here, her hair is a little bit more messed up. I don't know why her hair gets so messed up when she gets knocked out. It looks like she slept all night after she wakes up from being knocked out.
Right.
The boardroom at the school is so funny. It looks like a presidential boardroom. So
they're all smoking.
It's so fancy. And then, oh my god, everyone's smoking. It's so much smoking. I mean, I guess people smoked in movies all the time in the 80s, but just constantly. But I remember the teacher's lounge in high school being full of smoke.
Yeah.
Me too.
In the 90s. So even then, it was Virginia, so of course.
Yeah, the teachers definitely smoked in the faculty lounge in my high school, for sure.
That just feels so crazy now to think about, like, sitting in a small room smoking.
Oh, God. I know. Or, like,
people are eating.
Right. Or that you used to be able to smoke on planes. Like, there was a smoking section. Like, the whole plane would be smoky.
Like,
you know?
The smoke from
like, sitting 3 rows away from somebody smoking would be different somehow. But my high school, like, we had a smoking section outside, like, for the students.
Oh,
you know?
really?
Yeah, like, there was
smoke on campus.
Yeah, we couldn't smoke inside the building, but we'd smoke in the bleachers. Yeah, I remember there was a section, the smoking section, that the students were allowed to smoke in. It was a different time.
That's weird because you weren't even legally allowed to buy cigarettes.
No, we were not, but we were allowed to smoke at school. And I even remember too being like at a Saturday detention, like a 3-hour kind of thing, and they let us take smoke breaks.
Are you serious? Oh, wow.
It's so hard being in detention. You need a break.
You can't go 3 hours without a cigarette. That's crazy.
No one can.
That was a really good movie. It definitely felt like almost all the characters were like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And only a few people were actually like not bad.
Right.
But yeah, it was a
Betty
really...
Finn is good, right?
Yeah.
She might be the only one.
Yeah. But that was a really good movie, yeah.
I mean, Christian Slater and Winona Ryder were like my two favorite actors at that time. Heather's was very special.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's why it was so interesting to hear Lucy's take on whether she thought he was cute or not.
Oh, my God.
To me, he was, like, the cutest.
Right.
Like, there wasn't anybody cuter than him.
Yeah, he is extremely cute, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so troublesome. I love Lucy. I'm not worried about her at all. Because
Right.
I could tell he was a psycho.
Oh. She knew so early on, you know.
So great. I love it.
I'm like, wait, you knew he was a psycho just when he was pouring the cup? That's so early in the movie. Like,
it's almost like it wasn't just the movies that made me internalize misogyny. It was society.
yeah.
People are gonna look at the ashes of Westerberg and say, now there is a school that self-destructed not because society didn't care, but because the school was society. It's pretty deep, huh?
There might be something to that, yeah.
We definitely need to have Lucy watch more movies and get her takes. I love that.
Yeah.
I liked this fact about Christian Slater. Obviously, his performance was very influenced by his favorite actor of all time, Jack Nicholson.
Right.
And he was straight up doing a Jack in the movie.
What did you say, dickhead? I'll repeat myself. The extreme always seems to make an impression. I'm a no-rest build-up man myself. Nag, 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 nag! So maybe I am killing everyone in the school. Because nobody loves me.
I've known that for a long time, but then I recently learned that he also sent Jack Nicholson a copy of the movie.
Oh, wow.
And was like, please write back and tell me what you think. And he never heard from him.
Aww.
I wonder if Jack ever watched that movie.
Oh, I hope so.
Kid stole my aunt.
Rich and I went to London 15 years ago, and while we were there, we saw Christian Slater in the play One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yes, yeah.
Was it good?
Wow.
It was good, yeah. Well, yes, it was good. I mean, it was amazing that he was in, like, the Jack Nicholson role. The other thing that I remember vividly about it was that all the other actors were British doing American accents. Their American accent was like Southern. It was just like what stands out for them as this is what Americans sound like, but it was definitely a Southern American accent. It was, you know.
Like, Americans will often go Cockney.
Right, yeah. Right, like I'm sure Americans do what they think of as a British accent and like what is an American accent. I mean, he was definitely not doing a Southern accent. He was doing his...
Was he doing a Jack Nicholson?
His Christian Slater / Jack Nicholson, you know.
He would put his arms out a lot. He'd still do that.
What is he doing now?
Isn't he on that?
Mr. Robot.
The robot thing.
And I think he executive produces it too.
Yeah, very frustrating because I know my dad saw this movie because he took me and my brother David to it when it opened. Like, we used to see movies. We were like an every other weekend dad thing, and we saw at least one movie every weekend we were with him. So I know he saw that movie because he took us to see it and then bought me the VHS tape for Christmas that year because I asked for it. And we watched that movie like a bazillion times. But he doesn't remember seeing it. You know, I asked him, what do you remember about Heathers? And he doesn't remember it. I mean, I remember that the audience laughing the most at the Great Pate, but I got a motor if I want to make this funeral. But I don't really remember if he had a special reaction to that. Kent's 2 cents are maybe like half a cent worth because he saw it, doesn't remember it.
It didn't stick with him.
Right. It's been fair. That was 30 years ago, and he sees a movie at least once a week.
And
so
he probably didn't watch it 100 times after
he
that.
did not. I don't think he ever watched it again. I know his favorite movie from when he was younger is Bang the Drum Slowly, which I never watched. That's a movie that he still stands for. No, he couldn't have been that young because it's very early Robert De Niro. Okay. And I think Michael Moriarty. And it's like about a baseball player or something. But yeah.
who were almost cast as JD.
Oh.
Do you know about any of these? Brad Pitt.
What?
Auditioned for the role, and he was rejected because he came off as too nice.
Yeah, I could see that.
Also, Jim Carrey.
No, God.
Judd Nelson.
We really dodged a bullet with Jim Carrey there.
I know. And Jason Bateman.
Oh.
And the reason Jason Bateman is interesting is because Justine Bateman was also considered for Veronica.
Whoa, weird. Well,
I'm assuming they weren't considered at the same time.
Well, also, I think Jason Bateman and Shannon Doherty were brother and sister on Little House.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They were both on that show. I think they were brother and sister on that show. Yeah. I feel like he could have played that part.
Probably.
Of all the people that you named, I think
Although
he's the closest.
I mean, he would always play super nice characters back then, too.
Right. I feel like he's a good actor, though. Jim Carrey, I feel like, just always overacts.
Did you ever see Once Bitten?
No.
That was, like, probably around that time, or maybe a little bit later. That was the first movie I think he was in, or certainly the first movie I saw him in, where he's like a teenager who kind of has an affair with this like older vampire lady. He's like a vampire cougar. He gets under her thrall and kind of turns into a dick over time. I don't know. I saw it a ton of times because my cousin had the VHS and also DVD. And he was being pretty low-key for Jim Carrey at the time.
Yeah.
He was very nerdy, playing nerdy. He could not have possibly been cool, as cool as Christian Slater in this.
Yeah.
Why is she doing what he says?
Right. Yeah.
He's not even cute.
I can't imagine anybody else but Christian Slater doing that role. That's interesting. Yeah.
It's
like,
really hard.
He's really perfect in that movie. It's so frustrating that director never really did anything good again.
They didn't make any more movies?
Well, he did. He made more movies, but nothing close. You know, I mean, Heathers is just like a perfect movie. He did Airheads, which is an okay movie.
Right. I remember that.
He was the director of Hudson Hawk, although he's not blamed for that movie's failure. Bruce Willis was this crazy megastar egomaniac who just sort of took over. I read an interview with Michael Lehmann, and he was getting in a lot of arguments on the set of that movie, trying to rein Bruce Willis in, trying to get control of this, and somebody just took him aside and was like, you are a nobody and he's the biggest star in the world. You're just going to have to write this one off. So
that was his next movie after Heathers.
And then I think he did that weird movie with Andre the Giant, My Giant. I think that's him. Wow. And The Truth About Cats and Dogs.
Yeah, I thought that movie was okay.
It's fine, but
Janine Garofalo.
Yes, it's fine because it's Janine Garofalo. But to go from Heathers
to never do anything even remotely like that.
Right.
Yeah. He apparently directed a lot of TV after that. He just would direct a couple episodes here and there of TV shows like Dexter, Worst Death, American Horror Story, True Blood, and he directed one episode of the new Veronica Mars, the latest season of Veronica Mars, which was really good. That was a great season, so I guess he kind of found his calling in television.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember also from that article, he was going to direct The Good Son. Remember that movie? Right. So that was what he was going to do right after Hudson Hawk. And then he didn't want to cast Macaulay Culkin. And he had some other kid in mind. He really didn't think Macaulay Culkin was right for the part. And then the studio finally was Macaulay Culkin's dad was this awful stage dad guy. And he really wants him to do this movie to show he has range. Mm-hmm. And if we don't give it to him, he's not going to let him do Home Alone 2. So our hands are tied. So then he said he screen tested him again and felt like he really couldn't justify casting him. After he'd had that terrible experience on Hudson Hawk, he just didn't want to have that experience again, where a movie was just taken out of his hands like that. So he didn't make it. Somebody else made Good Son.
Yeah, somebody did. Oh, Daniel Waters, who wrote Heathers, also wrote Hudson Hawk.
I never watched that movie. But
I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't. But no one's ever told me that I should.
No, that's true. So my friend James, who sees everything, he has seen that movie and he said that there are some glimmers of good parts because Richard E. Grant and Sandra Bernhard are that they have these minor roles where they're together and that those are the only good parts in the movie. And I even remember that from the article with Michael Lehmann saying how they were like the only ones that got what the tone of that movie was supposed to be. Bruce Willis played it like really over the top and big, where it was supposed to be like a black comedy. I don't know. I mean, I never saw, I don't even know what that movie is about, but that's the only positive I've ever heard about it, is that the parts with Richard E. Grant and Sandra Bernhard are really good because they're actually funny and they kind of get it, and that everything else about it is terrible.
So this is what's called a lunchtime poll.
So the lunchtime poll question for today is, what classic literature would you copiously underline before committing suicide? And it has to be something you would have read in high school.
I want to answer for both eras, because if it was high school, it would probably be Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
Which feels like such a cliche answer, but I don't know, it's a cliche because it's true. You know, that was definitely a book that I read a bunch of times in my youth. But if it was now, if I committed suicide now, which I would not do, but right, but as middle-aged suicide, don't do it. But if you were going to stage my suicide, then it would be Fleischman is in Trouble, because that book, which will be a classic someday, I guess, but a modern book that really knocked me right. I would, if I was teaching high school, I would make people read that book.
I would have said Catcher in the Rye in high school also. And in fact, for a long time, I would have cited J.D. Salinger as my favorite author, but he is just way too problematic now. Right. I know just so much more than I ever wanted to know about that.
Yeah.
He was a monster, it turned out. Catcher in the Rye made me feel very seen in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it was the book that they were originally supposed to have used in the movie.
Oh.
Heather Duke was supposed to have been underlining Catcher in the Rye. But they asked J.D. Salinger, who was still alive at the time, and he obviously said no.
Damn.
As he was wont to do about everything he was asked from Hollywood. But now, and I actually really liked this book in high school too, but I feel like it probably would speak to me even more now, and I should reread it. It was The Awakening by Kate Sherbeck.
Oh, yes. Very good choice. Yeah.
Early feminist literature about a housewife who's misunderstood and walks into the ocean.
Right. Yeah, Goodbye Because I Love You. At the end. Yeah.
I don't have a good answer for mine. I was like trying to think of all these things I read in high school, and there's The Sun Also Rises, and then I couldn't remember, like, I couldn't, I'm sorry, I don't know.
That's okay.
What
about now? What's a book now that you really connect to?
Well, I like Me Talk Pretty One Day. That's my favorite book. David Sedaris, I love his books. I just really like his, like, short stories, but,
Right. No, that's a good answer. The first story in that book really speaks to me because it's about taking speech therapy for a lisp and how you try and avoid saying words that have an S in them. Yes.
Did you have to do that?
Yes. Naturally, it is a conscious effort to say an S correctly, which is part of, yes. Which
I've
is,
never noticed.
Well, I make the effort. But that's part of the reason that I hate my maiden name, because it had 2 S's in it. So it's a very, very annoying name to say.
That's awful.
Yeah, it was.
Sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and every once in a while I think when I turn 50, I'm just gonna stop doing it and say S is the way it's comfortable to say. But yeah, no, I took speech therapy in grade school. But I think it's a thing that, like, if you have a natural lisp, it's not going to go away. Like, little kids lisp, and then it goes away, and then there's one that's natural that you're not going to grow out of. Now I'm, like, so conscious of it talking, but it is, like, a little bit of an effort to close your teeth when you say an S. So the first story in that book is called Go Carolina, because it's who are you rooting for in the state versus Carolina.
How very.
I do always love that line, "Hey babe, I need a name." From Hot Crops.
Yeah.
It's a funny sequence because she's trying to think of a pseudonym, but then it's like,
Hey, babe, I need a name.
why does he need a name?
Yeah, you really don't. You could just keep talking. And then she says Tweety, and he acts like it's all sexy.
Tweety? Ooh, tweet.
What? The shirt he's wearing is like a yearbook. Like it's not a t-shirt, it's like a button-down shirt, but the pattern is like yearbook pictures.
Huh.
Yeah. I only just noticed it this time. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah.
Wow, every detail.
Yes, like whoever did the clothes in that movie did a lot of work.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder how much input Michael Lehmann had on that.
Right.
Or Danny Waters even. They do give awards specifically to costume designers and specifically to set designers.
Yeah.
As if they are independent creatives.
Yeah, it probably varies, like, with movies, how much of a control freak a director is, and
I guess given it was his first movie, he might not have had the luxury of being much of a control freak.
Right.
I don't know.
But whatever, I mean, just it was magic, whatever happened, like, because it just all is just so well done.
It really was magic, and it seems like it could never be done again. I mean, people have tried.
Right, yeah.
Although I haven't seen the musical, and I haven't seen the reboot show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the show is terrible.
I feel like I would have heard something otherwise.
Right. Yeah, the musical, I don't know. I don't want to watch it. I just want Heathers to stay as this perfect thing that it is. I only knew it from like a few years ago when Force Awakens or Last Jedi came out, one of those, because like people compare Kylo Ren to JD. And so I took a quiz of like who said it, Kylo Ren or JD. Mm-hmm. And then there were all these quotes that I didn't know that were allegedly from Heathers, but it was from Heathers the musical.
Wow, I'm trying to think now about how Kylo Ren is like JD.
Well, I mean, the whole like emo Kylo Ren and
JD's whole mission statement is complete and utter nonsense.
Right.
I mean, today was great. Chaos is great. Chaos is what killed the dinosaurs, darling. We students of Westerberg High will die. Today, our burning bodies will be the ultimate protest to a society that degrades us. Fuck you all.
You want to clean the slate as much as I do. Let's face it, all right? The only place different social types can genuinely get along with each other is in heaven.
Do you know about the alternate ending?
No. Yes.
Yeah, there was originally, and I think did they shoot it? Or
I don't think they shot it, no.
The original movie ended with the school blowing up, and then there's prom in heaven. All the characters are at the prom, and Martha Dumptruck is singing, and everybody's like getting along in heaven.
That's where it's clear that it was a different time that they let them shoot this movie at all. I mean, just from the first scene of JD when he's like in a trench coat with a gun in the cafeteria. Like, okay.
We've done it. We've wrapped up Heathers.
Right.
That's Heathers. I gotta think of a better ending for these things. If you enjoyed this episode of Paid in Puke, please take a minute to rate us highly on your preferred podcast listening apparatus. If you did not enjoy this episode, no further action is necessary. Paid in Puke is hosted by Amy Green, Christina Barr, and Jessica Baxter. Music by Silent Partner. Follow us on Twitter @PaidInPukePod, on Instagram @PaidInPukeSeattle, and on Facebook @PaidInPukePodcast. Thanks for listening.
Lick it up, baby. Lick it